Your attention is life force. It is energy that must be exchanged with this system in not just harmonious ways, but incredibly intentional ways. If you knew that your attention was life force and you saw it, I'm hearing bleeding and scattering, all being intentionally directed and cultivated and invested in the system, you would understand the power of you. All right. I'm hearing not entangling and becoming enmeshed within this system, so much so that you become earthbound, where you become calculated, prodding, planning, and praying in survival habitual ways of moving through the system, but instead becoming so fluid and detached in your navigation style that you're in this realm, but you're also in this celestial portal where there's another counterpart Earth that you have just shifted into. Today I want to talk about meditation, but it not just being an act of you emptying your mind. Meditation is quite literally training your attention, because again, where your attention goes, energy follows, and then you'll see manifestation begin to cultivate and culminate within your life experience. There's also a key word coming through, which is ruminate. Hold on to that in the field. I'm going to go ahead and use that as a keyword, but the rumination of something is usually something that you're focusing or pondering on or paying a lot of attention towards. So that could be something that you're deliberating. Anyway, every time we intentionally redirect our thoughts towards gratitude and intentional alignment and focus and breath, then we actually begin to not just shift our neuroplasticity, all right, on a, I guess, psychological and physiological level. We also shift the entire multidimensional architecture of our biofield, all right, of our auric field, or our let's just say multidimensional bubble. Because essentially what we're doing is we are disengaging from moments in time and remembering our eternal aspect. We are disengaging from the matrix and we're redirecting our attention inwards towards being the eternal being moving through these temporal moments through space-time. And that is incredibly important. I was about to say portal. Okay, so that is an incredible portal that you have access to. You have the key, and in fact, you are the key to move freely between realms, between the realm of the form and the formlessness. And you get to choose how you want to move through the system. Every time we do redirect our attention inwardly, we'll recognize our amygdala, which is the body's fight or flight response responsible for survival, begins to quiet down. Okay, the voice of the ego becomes background noise in a coffee shop that we can just neutrally observe. Our also prefrontal cortex, that is responsible for overthinking, also rumination. So that could be the key word that's coming up. Let's go ahead and define rumination real quick. It actually begins to quiet down, and that is new in the matrix when we talk about the prefrontal cortex. So that could be, it's not just responsible for emotional regulation, but it also could be the way that you're relating to your life experiences, or some type of some kind of, again, a way that you're emotionally relating to either your journey on Earth or an era of your life as you navigate planet Earth. So the fact that I said ruminating as the key word, that could be specifically the prefrontal cortex. So there could be something about new in the matrix. And new, if you look up the definition of the word, it's about renewed vision, right? It's about this renewed, fresh energy. I'll go ahead and we'll link these two. Rumination is the tendency to repeatedly think about the same thoughts, problems, feelings, or events, especially negative ones, without reaching resolution. This could be about replaying past mistakes or embarrassing moments. Again, the thing is, when we quiet our mind and we redirect our focus back towards peace and the eternal being, this is the eternal aspect of us that's untouched by those past mistakes, right? Or embarrassing moments, because every error is a portal of discovery. There was something that you were able to discover about yourself or your own potential. And it could be also where you've constantly analyzed why something happened, dwelling on worry, sadness, or anger or regrets, or getting stuck in a cycle of repetitive thinking rather than taking action. So it could be somebody beating themselves up, essentially. That's what rumination could be. There's a difference between rumination or reflection. That could be thinking about an issue to learn from it or resolve it. That's the soul's perspective, all right? So there could be something around reflection, could be you thinking about something to come up with a solution, or understanding the gold inside of the experience, right? The lesson hidden inside of the experience. That is the expanded perspective that helps us reach peace, okay? That helps us move through that discomfort and find relief on the other side of it. In stark contrast, rumination could be going over the same issue repeatedly without gaining any kind of new insight or resolution. So that is what meditation allows us to do. It allows us to retrain our brain, and also shifts, again, our entire architecture multidimensionally, so that we can gather multiple perspectives about one situation and see something from the soul lens, right? There's something around seeing your life experiences from the lens of the soul. That could be deep contemplation. And that's why it can feel like a superpower, because your thoughts stop controlling you when you are able to train your attention. That is a level of lucidity that becomes ongoing as you move through your life experiences, because a peaceful mind is the only thing that's able to see clearly, right? That's you being able to see your life experiences without distortion. So we also become impossible to break when we can be seated calmly inside of our own consciousness and actually begin to observe it. So I want to take a look at this could be significantly important today, it could be of importance. Let's take a look at becoming conscious of our own unconscious. The Cosmic Network. This is an interesting card because there's something that you could be picking up on that isn't even yours. Okay, I'm seeing it's octave of consciousness that the collective network is hosting that you're picking up on. Cosmic Network is a very fascinating card to come through. I'll tell you why. It's a card that strongly links towards the morphic field. So that's the instruction manual of how the non-physical manifests into form. I'm seeing from mind to matter faster now than ever. So there could be something about the being able to observe your own thoughts, being really conscious of your relationship to your thoughts is going to be very, very important, because the veil is becoming thinner and thinner. So there's a greater responsibility in this relationship. Let me see. The Cosmic Network talks about available information. Everyone can access the information provided by the energy network if desired. Everything is energetically available for any of us as a tool if we wish to be taken by that energy. That's an interesting term, right? If we wish to be taken by that energy. Now, when we go nowhere, that's where everything is. That's where this network is. When we allow ourselves to be fluid, detached, and neutrally observant of our own internal realms, we immerse ourselves back into the realm of where everything manifests from, where we draw infinite expressions from. I'm hearing the source of all thoughts. To recognize that we are not the thoughts, but the awareness behind it. We return to the aware state. And if we can be seated inside of our own consciousness, inside of our own mind, then we will become liberated once again. It just reminds you of 0 point awareness. It says we must not let adoration blind us, because there are many great mystics that are able to draw from this field. Every single human being is. It says distinguished beings that have left their mark on our evolution have all access to genius available in the energy network. Da Vinci, Newton, Tesla, Dali, Darwin, Buddha, Young, Shakespeare, Einstein, Mozart, a bunch of beings, just to name a few. And it says they have shown us a film which we watch with full concentration before they leave us, to become the actors or protagonists of our own reality. Sometimes the challenge is to believe yourself to be capable and discover what it is that you really want for your life. Of all the available information, which do I want to connect with? Who do I want to be? What do I want to do? Do I know what I want to become? Am I aware of what I am capable of? You know what this reminds me of? And I did a short reading on this. I was speaking about how the one thing I love about you is that you originate from this celestial, infinite, fluid plane, and then you descend into this very dense plane full of limitations, into this carbon-based alpha vessel that has inherited and adopted many societal programs and conditioning that has weaved through the ancestral bloodline. And so, as you experience yourself as this infinite fluid being that wants to create freely in this third dimensional plane, you also coexist with the limitations and belief systems that have been stored inside of this avatar that you've incarnated into, that tell you every single reason why this infinite dream or potential is not possible. And so, you move through this existence hosting this octave of consciousness, yet you also rise above it because you remember that you may be simultaneously hosting both octaves, yet you remember what your point of origin is. And so you get to observe those belief systems, you get to observe those thoughts, but not allow them to define you. Because why? You originate and extend and branch far beyond this. Okay, so I feel like there is something that you're being called to observe, because it's through your very neutral observation that you create the gap, and that gap is choice. You get to choose what leads you through this existence. And it's funny because we have the unconscious here at the base, and you have tunnel vision right behind that. So it can be really easy to just fall into unconscious tunnel vision in the way that you navigate this construct. This is the magic of the gathering card. I'm going to go ahead and pull a message here for you. Observation, yeah, breaking free and your true self. So as you break free, you return to your true self, which is your pure authentic expression, right? It's like the throat chakra energy. So it's where you blend your most multidimensional otherworldly gifts, but then you also anchor that into this grid, into this planet Earth, and that is the embodiment of your true self. It's the one without mask. It could be about facing the fear, understanding that the octave of consciousness that we host within us is just asking to feel safe. It's just asking to be held. And in doing that, we transform our relationship to our own fears. And that's the moment that we rise above it, because we integrate it. To integrate is to heal is to become whole. And it's only in the full acceptance of something unconditionally that we give it permission to transform. Now, breaking free is the last page of the book, so this could be a real big cycle that you're closing out. Breaking free of conditioning takes the courage to go it alone. You must take on responsibility for being the creator of your reality. What do we say? Opening up, right? You must take on the responsibility of being the creator of your own reality. If your heart is telling you to leave the safety of the herd, follow it. If not checked, fear's non-stop chatter can take our attention away from the heart and drain our energy. Put the fearful mind on hold and get back in touch with what lights you up. So this is the god who broke all the rules and achieved the status of a god just for fun of it, right? Humans suffer when they take too seriously what the gods were made for fun. You have come here to play and create, and your only job and desire is not just to remember yourself in this existence, but also create an internal container that's going to be extremely conducive to support the way that the soul desires to express itself in the tangible material plane. To create an environment to allow your soul to feel safe enough to play once again. Then you have your true self, and that is your true self. Your true self is your fluid self. It's your formless self. We have 444 on the clock right now. So again, you are protected as you move through the system. How can you be more authentic? Every day there are many opportunities to show up as our true self and speak from our hearts without any pretense. It takes courage not to parrot what the herd is bleating. Be a light to yourself. Wearing a mask can be a way that we can get things. It can also be a way that we avoid things. While wearing a mask can grant us short-term gains that are immediately satisfying, in the long term, we run the risk of building up a false persona or losing ourselves entirely. The returned are those who have escaped the underworld to roam among the living as mindless automatons. Master your mind. It's only in mastering the mind and mastering your emotional state, your internal worlds, that you master your relationship with the matrix and this external holographic reality. This construct is a holographic construct. And so it projects from within us outwardly. We don't see reality as it is, we see reality as we are. And so if we have a bunch of belief systems and blocks and subconscious core roots that, we keep in our being and we host in our being that tells us why we can't do it, well, reality is just going to reinforce what that is. So this is about the gentle, I'm seeing readjustment, which is just through gentle observation of those belief systems and unconditionally accepting them, but also saying, is that my truth? And where did that truth come from? Because all a belief system is a reinforced thought form. It's a thought that you keep reinforcing again and again and again with a strong emotional charge that creates biological, it creates a synapse, right, in the brain, because there's this reinforced thought forms and repetitive behaviors that create these inroads in our own neuroplasticity. But it also creates just hardwired ways of being and seeing ourselves, and it creates these crystalline thought forms in our field and within us. It begins to pollute the runway of life force being able to flow through us freely. It's like having a bunch of blockages in a pipe that wants to flow, and so it begins to scatter our life force. Have you ever had anything stuck in a pipe and then you try to turn on the water, it doesn't come out super constructively, productively? It creates from this scattered place, it creates from this disconnected place. And so there's something about reconnecting with your own power, so that same power can flow into everything that you do. Creating coherently would be the message. What are you overcoming? What you're overcoming is a Knight of Pentacles, which is pretty funny to overcome. This could be about planning and preparing, and now you're being called into the action phase, into the growth phase, into anchoring your future into the decisions that you make on a daily basis. Anchoring your future into the present moment by making sure that the action you're taking in the present is going to support the very future in which you desire. Congruent ways of moving through this system, right? So there's some type of movement, and the obstacle phase may be the planning. Is it analysis paralysis? Is there planning with not enough action? There's something around this of just doing the thing now. Anyway, I'm gonna love any of you right there. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, do consider subscribing because we'd love to have you around. Personal reading details are also down below. I hope that this helped you. I trust that it will. And yeah, also check out Water Spirit if you're looking for some high quality AAE grade gemstones. You have 2 discount codes for that down below. Until next time, bye.
Clouds in the sky, don't care.